Jannik Sinner is back. And he sent a clear and direct message to his biggest rivals, Alcaraz, Djokovic, Zverev. Watch out at Roland Garros. After 3 months of inactivity due to injury, the world number 1 has returned to the court at the Rome Masters 1000 with a mix of maturity, focus, and latent danger. Without yet reaching his best form, Sinner is already in the quarterfinals, overcoming physical and mental obstacles. Is the Italian building his definitive assault on the second Grand Slam of the year? Jannik Sinner returned to the tour after a long break that began right after his victory at the Australian Open. Since then, he hadn't been able to compete, but as expected, his comeback hasn't been a timid one. Rome, his home, was the chosen stage for his return. And also to prove that he's still the man to beat. With calm, precision, and character, the Italian has already made it to the quarterfinals, only for the second time in this tournament. The crowd cheers him on, but also pushes him forward. And he responds, with the poise of a true world number 1. His most recent match against Francisco Cerundolo was a true trial by fire. The Argentine came in as one of the hottest players on the clay circuit, with 18 wins on the surface this year. But Sinner, even without match rhythm, managed to prevail 7-6-2, 6-3 in a match that lasted over 2 hours and had it all: rain, tension, momentum shifts, and even medical treatment for blisters. Even so, the Italian stayed strong, minimized errors at key moments, and closed the match intelligently. Not bad for someone who hadn't stepped onto an official court in months. The victory over Cerundolo wasn't just another result, it was a silent warning to Alcaraz, Djokovic, and company. Sinner is back, and although he may still lack full physical stamina or precision, the message is clear: he doesn't need to be at 100% to compete at the highest level. What stands out most is his mindset. During his time off, far from losing focus, he stayed completely centered. Not even the open case for a potential doping violation managed to distract him. He focused on training, recovering, and coming back stronger. And that makes him a real threat in any tournament he enters. He's even left room for a possible appearance in the Hamburg tournament, in case he feels he needs more rhythm before arriving at Roland Garros. That meticulous planning speaks of a player who doesn't improvise. He knows exactly what he needs and how to prepare for the big goal: conquering the clay in Paris. The upcoming quarterfinal clash, against either Casper Ruud or Jaume Munar, will serve as another test. But based on what we've seen, Sinner is ready for whatever comes. His style remains intact, aggressive, calculated, and mentally unshakable. Meanwhile, small details, like the blisters that emerged during the second set, only make his victory more valuable. Because it wasn't just a technical win, it was a display of mental strength. Amid physical pain, Sinner stayed calm and didn't lose control of the match. And in a sport where the mind rules, that makes all the difference. His rivals know it. And in their minds, they must already be asking the key question: how much more dangerous will Sinner be when he regains full rhythm? Jannik Sinner has returned with strength, conviction, and a message that's silent but resounding: he's ready to fight for everything again. In Rome, he's shown that his absence didn't weaken him, but instead allowed him to sharpen his game and mindset even more. Despite the blisters, the break, and the lack of matches, he's defeated one of the most informed players on the tour and reached the last 8. He doesn't need to shout it. His tennis is speaking for him. And what it says is clear: at Roland Garros, he will be one of the main protagonists. Alarms go off in Rome. Jannik Sinner has fulfilled his role and qualified for the quarterfinals of the Masters 1000, but his win over Francisco Cerundolo has raised more questions than answers. Although he came out on top, the world number 1 sparked concern by requesting medical attention for discomfort in his right foot. Is he truly ready to compete at the highest level? Or, after 3 months away, is his body beginning to show signs of overload just before Roland Garros? Jannik Sinner's return to the tour had been meticulously calculated. After 3 months away due to a suspension following a positive test for Clostebol, the Italian chose Rome to make his comeback in front of his home crowd. And, so far, his performance had been solid. But in his first real test, against a red-hot Cerundolo, things got complicated. The Argentine pushed him to the limit in a first set full of errors from both sides. Sinner committed 14 unforced errors, but it was his opponent who, with 34 mistakes, ended up ceding the set in a tiebreak where the Italian was lethal, 7-2 and a turning point in the match. However, at the end of that first set, Sinner requested medical assistance. Cameras showed a bandage on his right foot and a concerned look on his team's faces. The packed Foro Italico held its breath. Could he go on? Fortunately, he returned to the court without any apparent limitations and played a much looser second set, closing the match with authority. But the doubt remains, is it just a minor issue or the beginning of a more serious physical problem? After the match, Sinner himself clarified the situation, though not without concern. It was a long and physically demanding match. I need these tough moments to find myself and regain rhythm. He admitted he still lacks competitive match fitness, which is logical after 3 months out. But he also made it clear that he's satisfied with his current level and grateful for the support of the Roman crowd. The good news is that the bandage seemed more like a precaution than a sign of a serious injury. Now, the Italian is preparing to face the winner between Casper Ruud and Jaume Munar. In either case, it won't be an easy match. Ruud comes from winning in Madrid and is one of the most informed men on clay. Munar, for his part, arrives hungry and with nothing to lose. With Sinner still searching for form and dealing with discomfort, every point will be a test. The big question is whether he can maintain his physical level leading up to Paris, where he'll be one of the main contenders for the title. Jannik Sinner advances in Rome, but not without scares. His victory over Cerundolo was brave, demanding, and mentally strong. However, the discomfort in his right foot has raised alarms just as the most critical part of the season approaches. He's still far from his best, but his ability to compete even under these conditions shows that his mindset is intact. If he can regain rhythm without aggravating his physical issues, he'll be a formidable opponent at Roland Garros. But the margin for error is shrinking, and Rome could be key in determining how ready he is for Paris. Sinner and Zverev impose authority in Rome. The two favorites of the Italian Masters 1000 have taken another step toward the title, reaching the quarterfinals without dropping a single set. One returns after 3 months away, and the other defends his crown. But both seem determined to conquer the Foro Italico with a mix of consistency, rhythm, and hunger for glory. Are we headed for an inevitable semi-final between the world number 1 and number 2? Everything suggests Rome is gearing up for a clash of titans. Sinner's return remains a story of resilience, focus, and character. Despite physical doubts due to discomfort in his right foot, the world number 1 has once again responded with tennis and determination. In his first big test since his comeback, he defeated Francisco Cerundolo in straight sets 7-6-2, 6-3, proving that, although not yet at 100%, his competitive mentality remains intact. The Argentine had his chances in the first set, but with 34 unforced errors, he squandered the opportunity to pull off the upset. And in the tiebreak, Sinner was ruthless. The bandage on his right foot raised alarms at the end of the first set, but once the second set started, the Italian dispelled any doubts. He broke early, went up 5-1, and completely controlled the pace of the match. The Roman crowd rallied behind him fervently, which was also key in emotionally overwhelming Cerundolo. Sinner will now face the winner of the match between Casper Ruud and Jaume Munar, with a clear goal, to return to the semifinals and continue sharpening his physical form ahead of Roland Garros. Meanwhile, on the other side of the draw, Alexander Zverev made it clear that he's still the king in Rome. For now. The defending champion overcame young Frenchman Arthur Fils 7-6-3, 6-1 in 1 hour and 47 minutes. The first set was very tight, with a fearless and bold Fils pushing the German to the limit. But Zverev held strong with his serve, saved 2 break points, and entered the tiebreak cool-headed, where he asserted his superiority. In the second set, Zverev unleashed himself. He was unstoppable. After breaking the Frenchman's serve, he became untouchable. Fils, demoralized, couldn't contain the onslaught, 3 straight breaks and a 6-1 that sent him out of the tournament. Zverev, defending the 1,000 points he earned in 2024, is getting closer to repeating the feat. His next opponent will be Lorenzo Musetti, who just knocked out Daniil Medvedev and comes in flying high. A matchup with the flavor of a modern classic between Italian flair and German power. Both Sinner and Zverev remain solid. They haven't dropped a set all tournament, and their progress seems to be paving the way for a potential showdown. One seeks to confirm his status as world number 1, the other wants to defend his crown and head to Roland Garros as the second seed. If they both keep winning, fate will bring them face to face. And tennis will be the winner. Sinner and Zverev have sent a strong message in Rome, they're ready for everything. One has returned from a break with the same hunger he left with. The other is maintaining his crown with authority. Both move forward steadily, leaving rivals behind and getting closer to a possible epic semifinal. With Rome as the stage and Paris on the horizon, these two giants are already setting the pace for a season that promises great battles. Can you imagine Jannik Sinner playing a tennis match with the Pope? Though it sounds like something out of a comedy, this curious interaction between the world number 1 and the supreme leader of the Catholic Church has gone viral in recent hours. All thanks to a comment full of humor and admiration. The new Pope Leo XIV joked that he didn't want to face Sinner, and the Italian, far from dodging the topic, responded with elegance and a big smile. What exactly did the Italian champion say about this unusual proposal? It all began when Pope Leo XIV, in a recent informal conversation, expressed his love for tennis and jokingly said he didn't want to play against Jannik Sinner. "Don't put me up against him," he said with a laugh, alluding both to the Italian skill and, playfully, to the meaning of his surname in English, Sinner. The comment quickly went viral, not just for its charm, but for the unexpected connection between the Vatican and the ATP circuit. Sinner's reaction didn't take long. In a press conference, when asked by journalists, he responded with a mix of surprise, good humor, and respect. "Why are you getting me into trouble with this question?" he said, laughing. The relaxed and cheerful gesture from the Italian was celebrated by everyone present. Once again, he showed his charisma off the court, a side of him that's gaining more attention among fans. After the joke, Sinner got a bit more serious, but not too much, and expressed his admiration for the Pope's interest in tennis. "I know he's played since he was young. It's nice for us as tennis players to have a Pope who likes our sport," he said naturally. That unexpected connection between spirituality and sport surprised many, but also sparked imagination. What if a real exhibition match between Sinner and the Pope were organized? The Pope's gesture has been interpreted as another sign of the generational shift within the Vatican, approachable, friendly, and eager to connect with younger generations. For tennis, which always looks to expand its audience, these kinds of viral moments are gold. And for Sinner, who is at the peak of his career, it's also a chance to show that his impact goes beyond the court. This light-hearted exchange between Pope Leo XIV and Jannik Sinner has served as a fun break in the tension of the Rome Masters 1000. Beyond the anecdote, it reminds us that sport has a unique power to connect people from vastly different worlds. And when there's humor and respect involved, the result is even more special. Sinner, with his usual humility, turned an awkward question into a touching moment. And who knows? Maybe one day that match with the Pope will become a reality. Would you like to see an exhibition match between Sinner and Pope Leo XIV? What other athletes do you think could share the court with unexpected figures? Leave us your comment, share this curious story, and don't forget to subscribe for more unique moments from the world of tennis. See you in the next video.